Imagine waking up one day and discovering that the world's most powerful currency, the one we use for oil, trade, and global savings, is no longer the dominant money on the planet. Imagine China unveiling a new gold-backed currency that challenges the US dollar's throne and reshapes global finance forever. If that sounds like a dramatic moment in history, that's because it would be. But what if I told you this shift isn't just a theory, it's a strategy moving forward right now? And the implications could affect everything from your savings to the future of world power itself. You're about to understand how China's gold-backed yuan could end the dollar era. Why this matters more than most people realize, and what we see behind the scenes of this unfolding story. Before we dive in, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to stay informed on the hidden forces driving global money, economics, and power. Because what comes next could change the way you think about the world. Let's start with a simple question. Why does the US dollar dominate global trade and finance today? It's because for decades, countries trusted the dollar for safety, stability, and liquidity. After World War II, major economies agreed to use the dollar as the primary reserve currency, the money nations hold to settle trade, back their own currencies, and safeguard wealth. Oil has been priced in dollars. International loans and bonds have been issued in dollars. The dollar has been the global backbone of money for generations. But dominance like that doesn't last forever. History shows that when power shifts, it often happens quietly at first, until suddenly, it's everywhere. Imagine a new kind of money rising, one backed not just by government promises, but by something deeply tangible: gold. Throughout history, gold has represented value across cultures and eras. Kings, empires, and civilizations used gold as money long before digital currencies existed. Even today, central banks hold gold as a sign of strength and security. China has been quietly accumulating gold for years, buying more than any other country on Earth in recent times. And that accumulation isn't random. It's part of a broader financial strategy that many people don't fully understand yet. To see why this matters, we need to go back to the basics of what money is. It's trust and stability. People accept money because they believe it holds value. When money is backed by something real, like gold, that trust can be stronger, especially during economic uncertainty. The dollar is backed by the power of the US government and its economy, but it isn't backed by gold anymore. The United States left the gold standard decades ago. That means the dollar's value comes from confidence in the US economy, not from a physical reserve of gold. Confidence can ebb and flow, especially when global tensions, debt levels, inflation, and geopolitical rivalries rise. China sees this reality clearly. In Beijing's view, a gold-backed yuan could become a safer and more stable alternative to the dollar, especially for countries that are wary of US financial influence. Nations under heavy US sanctions, for instance, already look for ways to trade outside the dollar system. Countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America are increasingly open to using alternative currencies for trade and loans. If China can offer a currency backed by gold and paired with trade partnerships, infrastructure investments, and diplomatic ties, suddenly the dollar's grip on global trade begins to loosen. So, how is China making this happen? First, there's the massive gold buying spree. The People's Bank of China has been on a historic gold buying streak, adding hundreds of tons to its reserves. While the official numbers are huge, many analysts believe China's true gold holdings are far greater than what's publicly reported. This isn't just about hoarding a shiny metal, it's about building a foundation of trust for their currency. If you can say, "Our money is backed by this much gold," it sends a powerful message of stability that resonates globally, especially in a world worried about inflation devaluing their savings. Second, China is building the infrastructure for a post-dollar world. The Shanghai Gold Exchange has become a major global hub for physical gold trading, allowing countries to buy and sell gold using the yuan. This creates a direct link between their currency and the world's ultimate hard asset. At the same time, China is pioneering a central bank digital currency, the digital yuan, or ECNY. Imagine a world where international trade can be settled instantly using a digital currency that's also convertible to gold. This would bypass the traditional SWIFT system, which is currently dominated by the US and used as a tool for financial sanctions. Third, look at the diplomatic and economic groundwork. China's Belt and Road Initiative isn't just about building roads and ports. It's about creating an economic ecosystem where the yuan is the preferred currency for trade, loans, and investment. China is already settling energy trades with countries like Russia and Saudi Arabia in yuan, chipping away at the petrodollar system that has been a cornerstone of the dollar's power for 50 years. By offering trading partners an alternative that avoids U.S. political pressure, China is creating a coalition of nations ready to move away from dollar dependency. This de-dollarization trend isn't a secret. It's openly discussed by leaders in Brazil, South Africa, and across the developing world. So what does a world with a gold-backed yuan look like? The average person, the effects could be profound. The dollar loses its reserve status. Its value could decline. This means imports would become more expensive. Inflation could become harder to control, and the cost of living could rise. Your savings, if held entirely in dollars, might lose purchasing power on a global scale. The U.S. government would find it much harder to finance its massive debt, as foreign countries would be less willing to buy U.S. Treasury bonds. This could lead to higher interest rates, slowing down the economy. But it's not all doom and gloom. A multipolar currency world could also bring more balance to global finance. It might force governments to be more fiscally responsible, since they couldn't rely on printing money as easily. Competition is often a good thing, and a challenger to the dollar could lead to innovation and a more resilient global financial system. However, the transition would likely be turbulent. History shows that shifts in global power are rarely smooth. They can be marked by economic volatility, political tensions, and a great deal of uncertainty. Now, let's be clear. The US dollar is not going to collapse overnight. The American economy is still the largest and most innovative in the world. Its financial markets are deep, transparent, and trusted. It will take years, maybe even decades, for the yuan to truly challenge the dollar's supremacy. China still has its own challenges to overcome, like capital controls and a lack of full transparency in its financial system. But the direction of travel is clear. The gears are in motion for a fundamental shift in global finance. The strategy is patient, it's methodical, and it's happening right now in plain sight, yet just under the surface. What we are witnessing is not just an economic competition, it's a geopolitical chess match where gold is a key piece. China is betting that in a future of uncertainty, the world will gravitate toward tangible value. They are positioning the yuan to be the currency of that new reality. This is one of the most important financial stories of our lifetime, and understanding it is crucial for navigating the economic landscape of the future. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the forces shaping our world. Have you ever wondered what makes the US dollar so powerful? For decades, it's been the world's go-to currency, the bedrock of global trade. But what if I told you the ground is shifting? A new contender is quietly making moves, and it's backed by something as old as civilization itself, gold. Let's talk about the concept of a gold-backed yuan. For a while now, China has been on a gold-buying spree, becoming one of the world's largest holders of the precious metal. Why? It's not just for decoration. By linking their currency, the yuan, to a tangible asset like gold, China could create a currency that's seen as incredibly stable and trustworthy. Think about it. The US dollar isn't backed by gold anymore. Its value is based on the trust people have in the US economy. But with rising debt and global uncertainty, some countries are getting nervous. They're looking for alternatives, a way to move away from relying so heavily on the dollar. This is where a gold-backed yuan could really shake things up. Imagine international trade where countries can choose to settle payments in a currency backed by physical gold. For nations rich in resources, this could be a very attractive option. It offers a shield against the fluctuations of the dollar and the policies of the US Federal Reserve. We're already seeing hints of this shift. Countries are increasingly trading in their own currencies, bypassing the dollar system. A gold-backed yuan could accelerate this trend dramatically. So, what does this mean for you? Well, it's not happening overnight. The dollar's dominance is deeply entrenched. But this is a massive development to watch. It signals a potential change in the global economic power balance, a move towards a multi-currency world where the dollar might have to share the spotlight. We could be witnessing the early stages of a new financial era, one where gold makes a grand return to the center of the world stage. It's a fascinating story of strategy, power, and the future of money. What are your thoughts on this? Could a gold-backed yuan truly challenge the dollar? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into our changing world. Of course, there are challenges. China would need to convince the world not just that its currency is stable, but that its financial system is transparent, open, and reliable. Countries holding yuan in reserves would need assurances that their assets won't be frozen or devalued due to political disagreements. Trade and banking systems would need to be reoriented. And Western financial institutions might resist changes that weaken the dollar's primacy. All of this means the shift, if it happens, is likely to be gradual, not sudden. But gradual shifts can be powerful precisely because they happen under the surface. Countries might adopt the yuan for regional trade. Emerging markets with heavy debts could borrow in yuan instead of dollars, especially if China offers favorable terms tied to gold backing. Regional banking systems in Asia and Africa might begin settling payments in yuan. Slowly but surely, trust in alternative financial pathways could expand. And as trust grows, the reliance on the dollar could diminish, not through collapse, but through diversification. And let's be clear, diversification is something central banks already do. Many nations hold a mix of dollars, euros, yen, gold, and other assets in their reserves. That's how financial risk is managed. But if a gold-backed yuan becomes attractive as a reserve asset, something central banks want to hold for stability, then the balance of global reserves could shift over time. That's not a radical future, something many analysts quietly discuss today. So what does this mean for everyday people? If the dollar's dominance shrinks, we might see changes in trade prices, in how currencies behave against one another, and in the way global inflation moves. Interest rates, bonds, and investments could feel new kinds of pressure. But more than that, it means watching the intersection of money and power more closely, understanding that currencies aren't just numbers on screens, but instruments of influence that shape geopolitics, trade, and national security. The gold-backed yuan story is more than a financial headline. It sells a lens into how nations seek security and trust in a world that has become more interconnected and more competitive. It shows how history doesn't just repeat, it echoes in new forms. The age of dominant reserve currencies isn't ending overnight. But shifts are underway that could redefine money and power over decades. And understanding those shifts is precisely what Hidden Finance Truths is all about. Because global money strategies aren't just for economists or bankers. They affect every person who earns, spends, saves, or invests. As you reflect on this story, I want to hear from you. What do you think? Is a gold-backed yuan a threat to the dollar era, or just an idea that won't gain enough traction? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and then hit share to spread this discussion with friends, family, and anyone curious about where our financial world is heading. The conversation we start here could be one of the most important you have this year, and the more minds that join it, the clearer the future becomes.